Christine, calling from, I believe it's Indiana. Christine, what's going on?
Hey, how's it going?
Hey, going pretty good. How about yourself?
Good. Good. So on the topic of conspiracy theories and stuff, which I find very interesting.
We do too.
The preface, yeah. So I grew up Christian and was raised that way. Never really questioned my beliefs, but I always was just very always gullible and naive to conspiracy theories, and I would just believe any and all conspiracy. Because if you don't have like a skeptic mindset, or if you're not willing to question certain things, it is very easy to just watch a video and get convinced and believe, certain conspiracy videos on YouTube can be very convincing. I remember in college, early on, I was convinced of even like the 9/11 conspiracy theories. I always believed in ghosts and stuff like that. And it wasn't until I met my husband when I was 22. I'm 31 years old now. So I've been an atheist and a skeptic for a little while now. But anyways, now that this COVID pandemic is going on, and I'm thinking about sort of like these anti-vaxxers and their conspiracy theories about how vaccines cause autism and all sorts of stuff like that. It's mind-boggling to me, even though I've been in that mindset before. So I haven't really had time to do much research or hear anybody defend that position. I'm just curious if either one of you guys have heard anybody that has been outspoken and standing in that conviction and what they believe in still pro-anti-vax, basically, during this pandemic with...
Alex Jones definitely is. I don't think he believes it, but he's definitely on the anti-vax tip. If you want to listen to, I wouldn't recommend listening to his show, but we have a bunch of clips of him literally saying that the vaccine that they're going to create is already 5 years old. Bill Gates bought it, created it, and is now going to use it to actually kill all of us. So vaccines don't just cause autism anymore. They are the method by which we will all explode. Yeah. So it gets worse. I didn't think it could. I didn't think it could.
Bought from Obama. You forget that.
Yeah,
too.
Exactly,
Obama was the one that sent it over, according to Alex. But yeah, so the anti-vax stuff is scary, of course, because we have data to show that more people are believing in anti-vax stuff now than probably ever before. And as someone who actively studies, how this information gets disseminated again and how these ideas propagate and communicate, I think a lot of it is coming from, again, Facebook. I mean, I joked about it earlier, but Facebook is probably the number one conspiracy peddler out there. And that's just not something that was a thing 15 years ago. People weren't getting their information from there. Most people were getting their news from newspapers, television, published sources. And now, because anybody can post anything, a lot of that's spreading. So I think that's part of why you're probably seeing it more, and maybe you didn't see it earlier, especially when it's much more organized than the dissemination of this information, like with InfoWars and stuff like that.
And that's being exploited to sell people stuff. Yeah, that's one of the big things that's going on. That's why it's spreading so hard, is because if you can cause that kind of panic and that kind of fear, then you can provide an alternate to it. So don't take your vaccine, but if you want to protect yourself from stuff, try taking zinc. That kind of stuff is the way that you exploit that behavior. And then I think of course, I don't like it when people say about their younger selves being in a religious environment, like I'm naive or I'm gullible. The reality is, sooner or later, you have to believe somebody. And when you're a kid, if everybody in authority is agreeing about something, of course you believe them. Why wouldn't you? So it's not that you're naive. It's that you weren't given an environment that would allow you to progress beyond that.
Yeah, I really dislike it when people are like, oh, I was, because obviously we are all former religious believers, and we shed a lot of those beliefs, but we grew up in an environment where adults were telling us what to think and what to do, and there's no shame. There's absolutely no shame in thinking differently from what you did when you were a kid. I mean, I'm glad none of my opinions before I was like 19 or 18 matter anymore. Like now I can like fully live in myself and think about things independently. And
I used to think Pocahontas was a documentary. Okay, you believe weird shit. It happens.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. I mean,
and it's good though that to be able to convert from such an extreme belief to deconvert, completely to an opposite. Have a totally different mindset. I think that gives you a different perspective on just overall, questioning and being a skeptic in general and viewing things in a different light. So yeah, I think it's very interesting. Now I just am wondering, like, I wonder what anti-vaxxers are thinking. This is what happens without one vaccine, and
So here's the problem.
But I'm sure they're able to justify it, and I haven't been able to really research it very much.
I'll tell you what they're thinking, because the anti-vax community, the thing with people who really are into the conspiracy theories is they never just believe in one. They just never just believe in one. Okay. So a lot of the anti-vax community has co-opted this idea that this virus was created on purpose to make people get vaccines. Like they think this is part of a plan. Now, the actual process of that, whether or not Bill Gates created it or it's because of 5G or whatever, but there are narratives being spun about this. So they're only digging themselves deeper into a hole when it comes to this stuff. But none of them are saying, oh, this is the result of not having vaccines. I think a lot of them are saying, no, this is the reason why we shouldn't have vaccines, because they're going to make us have it and put chips in our fingers and all kinds of.
Oh yeah, there's always going to be a mark of the beast. There's always going to be a mark of the beast. It doesn't matter what flavor of conspiracy you're dealing with. Eventually, there's going to be a tattoo that is activated by dark light, or there's a computer chip, or there's a magnet. There's always a mark of the beast. Everybody loves a good mark of the beast, right?
Yeah, and it's like you get kind of pinned in a corner when you're confronted with a certain question you can't defend. So you have to believe it's a different conspiracy theory, and it's just kind of like an ongoing spiral.
It just piles on.
Domino effect.
It never ends. It never ends. But until you have conversations with people, until you help people get them out of that space, and because people do change their minds. It's hard to believe, and it's frustrating, and it's hard. But I've talked to people on this show who have changed their minds after even having conversations with me on here. And that's really, that's good for me. I need that, because I need that encouragement sometimes. I'll be honest. Sometimes it's like we're all fucking screwed, but we're not. We just got to keep on keeping on, But anyway.
To me, that's like the most dangerous conspiracy theory. So I was just curious about that. One more question. I'm just curious. My husband's here with me. He's curious too, hearing about all this Alex Jones. And I don't know what this means. The Bohemian Grove. If you guys are familiar with that.
Oh yeah.
Tell him about the Bohemian Grove, Jordan.
Well, Alex Jones made up a bunch of bullshit about what happened. He went to the Bohemian Grove with John Ronson, and they kind of just walked on, and eventually a security guard was like, hey, you guys got to get out of here. And that was it. But whenever he edited all of the video, he added all of this stuff where it's like, this is where the rituals of darkness happen and they kill people. And it's more fun if the Bilderberg group is so rich that they sacrifice people on a stake. That's way more fun than them just going out and getting shit-faced in the middle of nowhere. That's a boring story.
It's really just a club of old rich people, old rich white dudes, I should say, and just hanging out and getting away from the stress of being CEOs at businesses. That's kind of,
and maybe Nixon jerked off in front of somebody. You don't know.
Yeah,
it could be anything.
That's an interesting line to go through too. But anyway, Christine, thanks so much for calling in, and we'll end the call on that note. I think really appreciate your question.
I think I answered your question, right?
Yeah.
Cool. Well,
thank you guys so much, and take care.
Thank you. You have a great rest of your night. Oh, she was gonna say something, and I was already hitting the drop button there. Sorry about that. Yeah, the thing. This is happening because the system we're using is a series of hyperlinks. Usually, we have buttons, and I hit drop. But it loads before it drops, and so they'll be saying something while I'm dropping, and it's like, no, I can't, I can't undo time, I can't fix the mistakes. But
see, here's my big contention for this show. What you need is a big, giant, like old timey phone, like a rotary phone that you do the whole thing with, and every time you end a call, just boom, just right there, like that satisfying click that we used to have back in the good old days.
Right. Yeah, it's not. No, that's probably more satisfying than just hitting the drop button. I agree. But maybe we'll have to talk to Mark and see if we can get into that